So now, putting the war and doom and gloom aside for a second, let's focus on some happy news, or at least some temporary happy news, folks. Because here in Canada, it's a struggle to survive. It's a struggle to survive with the cost of living, the inflation, everything in between, and the endless taxation on reducing carbon, which has turned out to be an absolute joke. But good news, Justin Trudeau's government to spend $250 checks to most people slash GST on some goods. That's, of course, the GST, the goods and services tax, which is applicable to a lot of different areas like retail purchases, food, uh, energy, uh, and so on. That there's going to be a temporary freeze, so they're not going to they're basically putting a tax holiday and giving people $250 checks coming into 2025 to people to combat the growing inflation, growing cost of living. But I see it as a means of they're doomed, they're gloomed, they know they're going to get kicked out, so let's buy some time. And as it says here, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced Thursday a suite of new measures meant to alleviate some of the affordability pressures people have been experiencing in the post-COVID era, including a 2-month GST holiday on some goods and services. The Liberal government will also send $250 checks to the 18.7 million people in Canada who worked in 2023 and earned less than $150,000 or less. Those checks which the government is calling the Working Canadians Rebate, will arrive sometime in the early spring of 2025, Trudeau said. The GST HST holiday will start on December 14th and run through February 15th, 2025. Now, why exactly that limited time frame? Why wouldn't they just implement a actual solution that would reduce the cost burden of many Canadians? Why exactly this holiday? Well, you'll see why in a second. People will be able to buy the following goods GST free. So they give you a list here of certain things. So it says prepared foods, including vegetable trays, pre-made meals and salads and sandwiches, restaurant meals, whether dine-in, takeout, or delivery, snacks including chips, candy, and granola bars. Oh, RFK won't like that. Beer, wine, cider, and pre-mixed alcohol beverages below 7% alcohol by volume. Okay, that's a weird influx on that. Children's clothing and footwear, car seats and diapers, children's toys such as board games, dolls, and video game consoles, books, print, newspapers, and puzzles for all ages, and Christmas trees. That's right, American viewers, there's a tax on Christmas trees. Probably didn't know that. With these exemptions, all food in Canada will be essentially tax-free for 2 months. Just keep that in mind, for 2 months. And he says for 2 months, Canadians are going to get a real break on everything they do, Trudeau said at a media event in Newmarket, Ontario. If a family spends $2,000 on the edible goods in a 2-month period, they can expect to save about $100 according to government figures. Woo! That's a real woo. That's amazing. Justin Trudeau, Mr. Santa Claus here. In provinces with the HST, which is the harmonized sales tax, where the GST is harmonized with provincial sales tax, the savings will be larger, the government said. Provinces with HST include Ontario, which is here, Newfoundland, Labrador, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. In Ontario, for example, the same $2,000 bracket of eligible purchases will result in the estimated savings of $260 over the 2-month period, the government says. These savings will come with a price tag for the federal government. The tax holiday will cost the federal treasury an estimated $1.6 billion in foregone revenue. The $250 checks will cost about $4.68 billion, a finance official told CBC News. Now, isn't it interesting that they've cooked the books on something like this? Like, hey, we're going to make it cheaper for ordinary Canadians to have a Christmas and be able to afford food and, their Christmas feast. They already cooked the books on this, but you don't see this kind of reaction when it comes to, I don't know, foreign aid spending. Like, you don't see people cooking the books on how much money we spent on Ukraine. In fact, right now, Bill Blair is pleading to Canadians, pleading to politicians, please, sir, we need 800 more million to this lucrative slush fund for Zelensky so we can blow coke and destroy his palace, please. With no accountability. No accountability. They don't tell you how much it's going to cost, how much burden's going to be for future generations to pay off all this. But they do for giving people a tax break. The two affordability measures come as the government grapples with the president unpopularity in the polls and after two stinging defeats in recent by-elections. So that's why they're doing this. The CBC's poll tracker suggests Trudeau Liberals are about 17% percentage points back from the first place Conservatives. That gap has narrowed somewhat in recent weeks. See? Just bribe away. The renewed focus on the cost of living is designed to bolster the government's support among people who have been feeling the pinch after prices on almost everything have increased in recent years due to inflation. So, Chrystia Freeland, I just wish I had a bank account to freeze. That Freeland. Tweeted this out saying, we're giving all Canadians a tax break starting December 14th. Here's what will cost less. Restaurant and takeout meals, prepared foods and snacks, toys and video game consoles, alcohol up to 7% alcohol rate, children's clothes, shoes, car seats, diapers, and Christmas trees, as she states here. But luckily, there are some people that have realized the bigger picture and the bigger perspective. As government EXE is corrupt points out, Justin Trudeau bills Canadians $55,000 a year for groceries and $240K for housing. He takes $160K Christmas vacations, $300K trips to Tofino, and rack up $230K in catering bills. Yes, we'll get into that. So the guy who costs Canada's millions a year wants to have $250 to us to make ends meet. That's what's very just repugnant about this. That's the real sting of all this. That all the money that he has gathered from you, the millions of dollars wasted and spent on the most absolute decimation against Canadians. And now he's saying, hey, the holidays are coming up. Here's $250. Shut up. Shut up about my troubles. Shut up about my, labyrinth spenders on vacations and all these, catering trips, my private jet that I recently just took to the G20 summit in Rio. Forget all about that. Forget about the Ukraine spending. Forget about inflation. Forget about the carbon tax that's going to increase in the spring. That's another big, huge red flag of all this. Is that, yeah, your $250 checks and cutting HST and GST may be good for a short run, but carbon tax is supposed to get up to 61%. And that is going to do absolute damage to majority of Canadians, majority of everyday Canadians. So here's some articles here that the National Post put it together of just how much the labyrinth spending of Justin Trudeau has cost so many people. So, for example, Canadian taxpayers on hook for $55,000 of Trudeau's family's annual grocery bill. $55,000 of Trudeau family's annual grocery bill. Now, I understand, Prime Minister, his family needs to eat. Okay, maybe that could be an exception. Maybe. You may think differently, but maybe that could be an exception. I don't know, but let's just say hypothetically that could be. Here's where it gets even more aggravating. Taxpayers footing a $20,000 monthly bill for Prime Minister's Harrington Lake home. That's his vacation home in Harrington Lake. $20,000 a monthly bill. While there's people out there that can't afford a simple shoe closet size apartment in most places. $20,000 monthly bill for the Prime Minister's Harrington Lake home. There's more to this. Trudeau's free Jamaican vacation still cost taxpayers $230,000. Remember that is free vacation. Like The Price is Right. He got a showcase. He got a free trip to Jamaica. Oh yeah, we had to pay for it. It's free to him. It was a free gift for him. Jamaican people loved that he came down and celebrate with them, but, you know, for us people that are feeling the cost of burden and already don't have money to pay for the essentials of their family, yeah, it wasn't exactly a routing trip for us. Or how about this? Airplane food costs more than $220,000 on Trudeau's Indo-Pacific trip. Meals included beef brisket. The byline here, for those who can't see it. Meals included beef brisket with mashed parsley potatoes with truffle oil, braised lamb shanks, and baked cheesecake with pistachio brittle. While people are lining up at food banks by the millions. So, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Don't forget this. Don't forget that the $220 or the $260 that you may get at some point as a rebate is basically shut up money to cover up all this. To cover up the fact that Justin Trudeau has spent an enormous fortune off of our backs for his luxury. For the fact that he is the son of a prime minister, he's the trust fund child, and gets to lavish himself with all these expensive trips and venues and real estate that most Canadians can't even survive. They can't even pay for the essentials of survival. And here you have a prime minister cultivating all this money from working Canadians, all the taxation, all the lucrative spending. The carbon tax that's supposed to help the environment. How has it helped the environment? Not by much, according to statistics. The more we tax for carbon initiatives, the more the carbon's actually gone worse. Surprisingly. Maybe we should take advice from the people that didn't tax on carbon. Maybe we should take advice from those people and learn about the environment. Learn about actually how we can benefit from nature instead of brutalizing people, and taxing them for your lavish spenders. So, just like this, you're trying to unfreeze Parliament by bribing Canadians with their own money, which is the hilarious irony of all this. It's your money. You forked over all your money, and then you're going to bribe Canadians with that money that you took from them in order to shut them up before the election. As hilarious that is. And, well, here's the video here of him saying that. Which, by the way, he's presenting this at a press forum at looks like the test kitchen for Loblaws. It literally does look like some sort of television set, like a morning show where they're doing the cooking segments. And there's Chrystia Freeland. I wonder if she's gonna, Hulk out at any moment now. Anyway, here's what he said.
I am certainly hopeful that the NDP will see that a frozen parliament doesn't deliver for Canadians. Like I said, the Conservatives have been blocking all the affordability measures that we've been putting forward, and to see the NDP tacitly agreeing with them has been a little confusing for a lot of progressives across the country.
It's been confusing. Why would the NDP... I don't understand. We used to be buddy-buddy. We had the coalition. Jagmeet used to be my buddy, my right-hand man. Now all of a sudden, oh my God, because there's an election, he's now gonna run as his own party? And by the way, the reason why Conservatives, and to some degree the NDP, even though the NDP is very much corrupted, the reason they're concerned about this and why they're not backing your affordability claims is because it's only temporary. It's not going to fix the staggering amount of people lining up at food banks. It's not going to help the people that are sleeping on the streets, that are in tent cities across the nation. It's not going to help them by giving them a short period of a holiday, when we actually need to have real measures intact by, I don't know, eliminating the carbon tax. That would be something of a small step towards saving what little left we have in this country. Eliminating the carbon tax, cutting back on the militarized spending and the foreign affairs crap. That maybe we shouldn't be align ourselves cowardly to NATO. Maybe we should hold our own breath and buckle our belts up a bit and say, hey, if we're going to send money to NATO, you're going to do something for us. Maybe actually have some balls and initiative to have some contradictions. But they don't do that because all these people run on the same globalist agenda platform. All these people align themselves with every single establishment, corporatized globalist agenda, and their needs to endless warfare, to decimate their own citizens, to wreck the national security. That's why they've opened the borders and flooded in a bunch of immigrants that they can't keep track of or document, because they want chaos. They want absolute, just a farce, so that they can come in, seize control, seize opportunity, put their authoritarian measures to use, and Canadians just stay silent about it. So, let me see this again in full.
I am certainly hopeful that the NDP will see that a frozen parliament doesn't deliver for Canadians. Like I said, the Conservatives have been blocking all the affordability measures that we've been putting forward, and to see the NDP tacitly agreeing with them has been a little confusing for a lot of progressives across the country. So with this measure that has to get through Parliament, and get through Parliament quickly so people can start feeling that relief at that tax break as soon as mid-December comes around, the NDP is going to have to step up and get beyond the freeze that we're seeing in Parliament.
Yeah, when did the NDP finally get balls? What the hell? Why did you do that to us? We were used to be friends. Used to just take it as win, and I would just destroy you, and you would be part of this coalition to destroy more of it. Why would you betray me like that? And you also notice that Chrystia Freeland, when he mentions the tax freeze, when he mentions about the rebate and the holidays, she kind of had that little clench there, like, oh, God. That means my manicurist has to go down to once a week. I'm going to be stuck with the same nails for 7 days. I'm going to have to go back to brand name foods. I'm going to have to cut back my vacations to maybe once a month. Oh, the horror. The horror. Making it sound like they're doing an ultimate sacrifice, when really it's just bribing us with our own dollars. And luckily someone put this cartoon together. I thought it was hilarious. I needed to add this in. By the name of Roger Maynard. I do believe that's his name at the bottom there. And just exactly that. Look, he's giving us all the money just like he promised. He has your wallet, dear. And that, my friends, is exactly the situation of this holiday. Is that this is not, going to alleviate problems. This is only just going to start the chaos that's already illuminating, and it's going to make worse by spring. And all of this does is just shuts you up for a couple more months and make you not realize just how despicable, how awful the Trudeau Liberal government is, and how they're losing touch with Canadians, and how they are so desperate because they're at a low point to do anything they can to gain what little integrity they have before they get ousted in the election. And that's all it really is. It's just bribing you with your own money that they have stole from you, an exorbitant amount. And if they really cared about affordability, again, there's many different notions to actually pass that would actually make things affordable. Like cutting back on the carbon tax that really isn't making any things affordable, or in the fact of protecting the environment, as statistics are reporting out constantly that Canada's reduction of carbon is actually just ridiculous, and how other nations are succeeding more in the environment when they're not taxing their people. That's a start. Or maybe cutting back on the military expenditures. Maybe cutting back on the foreign aid. Maybe not shouting at the top of your lungs, Slava Ukraine, when veterans and people that are working Canadians can't even afford to have shelter. Can't even afford to have their own shelter, and they're living in tent cities across the nation. That's just one of the many different things they could be doing right now, instead of this just lame-ass excuse to buy themselves more time.